Welcome back to Hoops HD,
Woohoo!
everybody. This is our continuing coverage of the 2025-2026 season previews. I finally got the video up, the
That
screen up
yeah,
at the right time this time.
and
Um,
that is what's so amazing is that I just love that you used a real photograph there. Like
uh,
that's not AI. It's
no,
real.
I actually went and painted those words on that wooden backboard and
Yeah.
everything.
I mean, you can tell that it's painted on a real wooden backboard.
I'm your host, Chad Shore. We got John Titel and John Salika up top with me. Rocco Miller joining us from Brocketeer.org down below. To his sides, David Dorman and David Griggs. This is our ACC preview show. Uh, Once the preeminent basketball conference, and now probably the fifth or sixth best basketball conference. And
Yeah.
uh,
Fair.
Griggs, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, but
Imagine how much better it would be if they just kicked Boston College out.
Um, there's about eight or nine other teams that need to skip a gap too to make this conference good again, Griggs. But that's another story for another
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Uh, but let's start with even though the conference as a whole might be down, there are a couple of very good programs here. And Rocco, let me start with you here on a team that looked very impressive in their exhibition game, and that's the Duke Blue Devils with the Boozers.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Boozer's like next world level good, talented, does it all. Some eye-popping numbers in these first two games, and not to compare him, he's going to get compared to Cooper Flag probably just because of the year Cooper Flag had in the jersey he wears, but obviously much different types of players. Even though they're both 6'9", obviously. Carlos Boozer's kids been hyped up for several years on the AAU circuit. They're in great hands. Isaiah Evans has also been, I think, pretty impressive, taking a much larger role from freshman to sophomore year in both exhibition games. Mr. Evans took the second most amount of shots, and so he's kind of like Robin to Batman right now. But obviously, Caden Boozer's a big piece, like you said. Malik Brown's really important. Caleb Foster. So. At this point, like until further notice, I think they should be the ACC favorite, if not, a projected number one seed, and that's where I've got them.
Yeah, Dorman, how good is this Duke team going to be this year?
It's incredible to say because you lose Sion James, you lose Cooper Flag, you lose Maluk up front, you lose Con Knuppel. And here we go. Everyone says they're a top five team because of all the talent Rocco just said. Um, I think they're capable of winning the whole thing. It's going to be how good is Boozer. If he can put the load on his back and score when it's tough to score in the tournament and the defense gets tighter and the calls get tighter, Duke could win this whole thing. They're that good. But they're young and they're inexperienced because that's what Duke is year in and year out. I think Shire is doing an incredible job. Chris Carrawell on the bench does an incredible job. They have such good experience with some of the assistant coaches, the love they have for each other, like the brotherhood they say or whatever, but it's real. You can just see that Duke culture is something special in college basketball. I think Duke is the top of the rung. I think they're the top team in the ACC, and they have a chance to win the whole thing.
Yeah, Titel, I'm pulling their schedule up here too. This is a pretty darn good
Crazy.
schedule on top of that.
If you like tournament teams, I would say so. I mean, Texas is a question mark, but Jayhawks are great. Arkansas is currently losing, but we'll see. Gators are defending national champs. Tom Izzo's made all the tournaments in a row. Texas Tech is 10th ranked in the Ken Palm. So, if not the best schedule in the nation, at least like easily top 10, I would say.
Yeah, and a trip to Army on Veterans Day. Mike Krzyzewski's alma mater on top of that. So it's an interesting little road game that they'll have there coming up in the second week of the
And I was
season.
looking at
Yeah.
that schedule.
Have they gone there before? I think they have.
No,
They
I
have.
don't think
Okay.
they have.
Gone there
This is
before.
Oh, they have. I'm sorry. This is a special trip. I know that Krzyzewski has wanted to do this a long time. Scheduling didn't work out maybe in the last 10 years or so, but I know from a few quotes, this Duke team's really looking forward to that road trip. I think there'll be some special situations and things they'll get to see that is not the usual in college basketball.
How funny would it be if Krzyzewski, for whatever reason, was left off of the pass list? Like he showed up and they didn't let him in.
The only thing I'm not clear on for this game is they're showing CBS. I don't know if that means CBS National or the CBS Network.
Sports Network.
It might be. It might go
CBS
there.
Sports Network. Well, we'll confirm that as we get a little closer to that game. But beyond Duke, Titel, the team that's getting the second most love from this conference is Pat Kelsey's Louisville team.
He had so many injuries last year, but he still won 27 games. Keep in mind, he inherited a team that won 8 the year before he showed up. So amazing coaching job. He starts it off by bringing in a McDonald's All-American and Michael Brown Jr., projected lottery pick, helped Team USA win the U19 World Cup last summer, and then several key transfers. Isaac McNeely from Virginia led the ACC over 42% behind the arc. Ryan Conwell from Xavier, a third-teamer in the Big East last year, and his fourth school in 4 years. And Adrian Woolley from Kennesaw State, the Conference USA Rookie of the Year. Happy early birthday. He turns 20 this Saturday.
Yeah, and Rocco, they played in their exhibition game. Did they not play Kansas and little dust up there between Bill Self and Pat Kelsey at the end?
Yeah, I think I saw something on that. It seemed like Bill Self was trying to help him out and give him some advice on how to manage his freshmen. And Pat Kelsey, being a Bulldog, didn't want any advice from Bill Self. So I think that's all that was about from what I heard.
Yeah, I think that's all it was about. But I think that also shows, the kind of the fire and the grit that Kelsey has and what he brings to this team. And I think the team last year played like that. This year, I think they will as well.
No doubt. I mean, they're just
to turn that program around so quickly from how bad they were, how much we ripped on them 2 years ago to where they were last year is one of the incredible jobs in America. This team's going to keep getting better and better. I love Pat Kelsey.
Yeah, he certainly utilized the portal last year.
Rocco, another big story in this conference offseason is the new head coach at NC State, Will Wade. And can he kind of almost do what Kelsey did and just invigorate this program all the way up into near the top of the league, just coming in his first season?
I think there's a really good opportunity, yes. And I think NC State and their NIL collective program followed suit. Being able to get Darian Williams is a huge pull. When he became available in the open market, I think you would assume maybe they were fifth in line with the typical players that be with him being one of the biggest names in the portal, obviously being unbelievably sensational for Texas Tech as their go-to guy on their run to the Elite Eight. So it starts and stops with Darian, but I love what he brings with Copeland and Breed, with coming from that McNeese success to influx the roster and the rotation with some of that juice. He's just got so many guys between 6'5" and 6'8" to shake things up with total athletic bodies. And Trey Holloman's there to run the point guard position from Michigan State. And Terrence Arsenault has been a big time, kind of waiting for his turn player at Houston. Now he's going to accelerate that a little bit, get a few more dollars to be the guy at NC State at the 3 spot. So I just think they're absolutely loaded. I think the amount of success he had at McNeese obviously carried over, beating Clemson for an easy example. He'll get to play them some more here in the ACC, and I just have a lot of faith in the way that they play and the way they attack the portal, the way they attack their game plans, and they're going to be tenacious. They're not going to be fun to face.
Salika, you agree with him?
Well, I want to make one note right there. They're only playing Clemson once this year. The ACC, one of their quirks is, since they're going back to an 18-game conference schedule, there's 2 teams they're going to play twice, and then there's going to be 1 team where they don't play them at all. But I would say, getting back to NC State's team right here, they're certainly retooling the roster with Will Wade, but he's probably got enough faith, and it helps that he was able to completely turn McNeese around, albeit at a smaller level. this would be an even bigger coup if he's able to get NC State into the top 3 of the ACC.
He got Amir Khan back. What else could he need?
Titel.
What a roster. Wow. Anyway.
Titel, how about North Carolina? How about the Tar Heels?
How about them? So squeaked into the NCAA tourney last March as arguably the 69th best team in the nation. They have brought in a lot of size. 3 transfers this year, 6'11" or taller. The best player they brought in, McDonald's All-American Caleb Wilson, projected lottery pick. Seems like a very impressive kid, 3.8 GPA in high school, and can play a little bit, 22 points and 10 boards in their exhibition loss to BYU last Friday. They also bring in Kyan Evans from Colorado State, top 25 in the nation last year, almost 45% behind the arc, and set a school tournament record, 6 threes in their first-round win over Memphis last March. And as Dorman mentioned in our last podcast, Henry Vasar comes in from Arizona. He scored in double figures 16 times last year. The Wildcats won 13 of those 16 games, which is to say when he scores, they win. And he keeps scoring 14 points in their game to BYU, albeit a loss in exhibition last Friday.
Stalika, I've seen Notre Dame picked as high as the top 5 or 6 of this conference, as low as near the bottom of this conference. So I think they're going to be decent this year, but where are you on the Irish?
I think Notre Dame was actually picked number 8th overall by the media and coaches, but they've been actually building up towards year 3 here with Micah Shrewsbury. He's got a very talented freshman class with Jaden Harrelson, Ryder Frost, and Brady Kaler. And he's also got some pretty good returning players in Marcus Burton and his coach's son, Braden Shrewsbury. I think Marcus Burton had also averaged close to 20 points a game for the Irish last year. They should be positioned to make a move, but with the ACC being relatively weak, they're not going to have as many chances overall for notable wins in conference. So what they've done is they've scheduled games at Ohio State, against Missouri, also on the road at TCU, and along with the Players era in Las Vegas. But this is better than what Notre Dame's schedule has traditionally been.
All right. So where are you on them? Do you think this is a tournament team?
Probably not this year, but depending on who he gets back next year, I think that's probably when the Irish probably would be better situated to return to the NCAAs.
Well, if Notre Dame is not a tournament team, and if we've got to find somebody else who might be, Dorman, how about somebody like Virginia? I know we our good friend Joby's not here tonight, and so we're gonna have to let somebody else discuss his who's.
Wow, I'm high on this team. I really am.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think Ryan Odom was the perfect fit for this for this program. I think it's a match that works. I just think you got to have someone that works in this climate and this culture, and I just think he does. I think he has the X's and the O's. He's got that, but I think he'll bring I think he'll bring in athletic style of play to this Virginia team and play a little more up tempo, a little more athletic, a little faster than we've seen in the past. He's not a running gun guy. This is not going to be out of control craziness here, but it's going to be a little faster paced. And I think he'll be able to show his athletes. And I think he's got a couple of shooters. He brought in a couple of real young. He brought in some older, experienced guys from the portal, mixed them with some freshmen that are highly touted. Some people say he's got one of the top 20 freshman classes in the country. I'm high on the Virginia program. I think they're coming back under Odom, and I think they have a solid year to begin this.
Some real quality players from under the radar school. What do you think of them, Rocco? I'm curious to get your take. This is a fascinating roster.
Well, yeah, I think Jakari White was pretty darn big time in the Summit League, but we know nobody plays defense in the Summit League, so he'll have to adjust. But I think he'll be counted on heavily. Dallin Hall and Malik Thomas from bigger schools, San Francisco, of course, you could argue is a mid-major or not, but Dallin Hall, of course, with BYU, can really shoot the lights out. But Thomas can do everything. He's a 3-level scorer, and I actually am pretty impressed so far. I mean, we've only seen 2 of their exhibition games, but Johan Grunlow, one of the freshmen from overseas, he's looked really good early on. Had a nice game in the win over Villanova. So I'm intrigued. I was hopeful for my guy Devin Tillis, who was arguably UC Irvine's MVP last year, to get a little bit more run. They only used him 14 minutes in the Nova game. Hopefully, that's not a sign of things to come. And that's the problem, I think, sometimes when you make the leap from under the radar all the way to the power level, is you just don't know where you're going to fit in the mix.
Yeah.
But I would imagine a guy like Tillis, who is an amazing defender, an amazing
Yeah.
teammate, it would be somebody they'll eventually lean on somewhere along the way.
Yeah, I like Tillis. I didn't
Yeah,
realize, I mean, I hadn't really followed the exhibitions. I didn't realize he played so little. I'm actually a little surprised to hear that.
I was
Anyway,
too. But it's
yeah,
not terrible. I mean, he played 14 minutes. It's not like he got two or something.
yeah.
So
Uh, Titel, SMU is about 7 or 8 years away from being able to qualify to get money out of the ACC conference from the TV deals, but they've actually made some noise in football. And do you think they make a little noise in basketball again this year?
A little. I'm a big fan of Boopy Miller. Not just the name, but the fact that he was a third-team All-Conference player last year. A couple nice transfers. Jerome Pierre Jr. from Jacksonville was the Player of the Year in Conference USA and the fourth leading scorer in the nation with almost 22 points a game. And Corey Washington was a All-American Conference second-team player at Wichita State. I think they're going to be on the outside of the bubble, but I think they'll be in the bubble conversation. I think that their football program has gotten a ton of money, which has helped elevate it. And it seems like maybe the basketball team will be following suit.
Maybe. Dorman, how about Syracuse? Could they be in the bubble conversation?
I think we're back, Chad. I think Syracuse might be on
Oh,
their rise here. Adrian Autry, this is his third season, but his seat's getting pretty hot. This is coming off one of the worst seasons in Syracuse basketball history. They haven't won. They had won as little a few games since 1970. So there is heat under Adrian Autry's seat. But the school and the AD and the administration backed him. They totally had his back. They said, we are fully committed. I'm not sure if that was for the recruits or because they actually believe it. But they bring in they bring two key returnees, their top two scorers from last year, TJ Starling and Donnie Freeman. And most people, as we just heard from all the guys on the panel, aren't bringing much back. Syracuse brings back its two leading scorers, which I think is the only school in the conference that is doing that. But yes, the big addition is Keon Anthony, Carmelo, the star of Syracuse basketball, the national championship brought to Syracuse, Carmelo Anthony's son. And he's going to be a huge help. But from what I'm understanding, this is not a one and done situation. This is not a kid that's going to be a top 4 or 5 in the draft in the NBA. And a kid, from what I hear, is looking to stick around, hopefully 2 or 3 years, at least for the Syracuse faithful. So I do think Adrian Autry has this program on the up finally. It's been a rough 2-3 years, but I think they're also bringing in a couple other big-time freshmen, and I think the Jim Boeheim years are coming back to Syracuse. I think they're discussed on the bubble all year. I think finally they will fall just short, but I think Syracuse basketball is on the up.
There was one notable thing missing on Syracuse's schedule this year. It's going to be the first time in several decades that Colgate is not going to be a fixture on there.
Yeah.
Cornell as well. Yeah,
no Colgate, no Cornell.
Too.
Yeah, they did put Binghamton on the schedule, so at least one
They
of
did
those.
play Colgate in football, so I suppose there is that.
And Colgate in football.
Griggs, how about Brad Brownell's team over there at Clemson?
It's like they've had two really strong seasons in a row, and I think they won, was it 27-28 last year? It was an early tournament loss, but it was still a really good year. It's hard to get a gauge on them. Just one starter is back, I think, and they went into the portal and they got several guys with solid D1 experience, but I don't know where that lands in the ACC. I think, again, they're going to be good defensively. Brunell coach teams usually are, and he seems to go after guys that fit his system and fit what he wants to do. Not that they haven't had high caliber players or really good players, but he, he- I you almost have to trust that he's getting the guys he wants for his roster, but I don't know. It's one of those teams that's just kind of hard to forecast.
Yeah, they're hard to forecast. Rocco, another team I'm having trouble trying to figure out is Georgia Tech. I think Bay Ndongo is a real good player. I just don't know if there's enough other players around him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having a hard time with where Damon Stoudemire is taking the program. I expected a lot because he was WCC Coach of the Year here for Pacific, and with Bai being there since his first year, now going into his junior year, I just expected like other recruits, other transfer portal options to help beef it up, but it really hasn't been that. Now he was able to retain, four at least, yeah, three really solid returnees with Kwasi Reeves back. He's been around forever. He was at Florida for years, and Jaden Mustaf, who's back for his sophomore year. Plus, Lamar Washington does come from Pacific, an old Lamar Perry, or excuse me, Leonard Perry player. But I don't think there's enough juice here to really make a move. I think the ACC as a whole is much better this year than last year for sure, which I know isn't saying a lot. ACC fans even kind of let their guard down, admitting that the league wasn't very good last year. But I think it is much deeper this year at minimum, and I think that could mean Georgia Tech falls even further down the standings. They were actually able to go 10-10 last year with a couple monster upsets. Stoudemire had a bunch of big upsets his first year, even though they went 7-13. But I just don't. I just don't think there's enough momentum here unless there's something from a few of these freshmen. I know Mohamed Salah's a guy that could be starting as a center, a true freshman, but I don't have a really good sense that it's going to be a good season.
Yeah, well, we got to find somebody else who maybe Titel, maybe the team that was the big disappointment last year, as Griggs told us during our Big 12 show earlier. How about the Miami Hurricanes this year with the new head coach?
Jay Lucas comes over. He was a McDonald's All-American back in '07. His dad, John, was the first overall pick in the NBA draft in '76. At age 36, he's already been an assistant to Rick Barnes at Texas, John Calipari at Kentucky, and John Shire at Duke. I don't know any coach that young who has that great a resume in terms of who he's learned from. They bring in Trey Donaldson from Michigan. Talk about winners. Won a conference title at Auburn in 2024 and a conference title at Michigan in 2025. Malik Renault from the Hoosiers averaged 11 points a game and shot over 55% from the field in his 3 years at Bloomington. And my favorite story, True Washington, the New Mexico transfer, scored 11 points a game last year. He's got 14 siblings, one of whom had a kid before True was even born. So True Washington's nephew, Ty Ty, is not only older than him, but has spent the past 3 years not in college, but in the NBA.
Salik, I know you had a few thoughts on Miami, and then we'll get from Griggs also.
And one of the things we didn't mention about Jai Lucas was he was Shire's top assistant at Duke last year. He actually left Duke's coaching staff before their season even ended because he knew Miami's program was in such bad shape. He had to get a head start right away so he could hit the portal, try to get a few recruits that Titel had mentioned. Now, the notable thing is Duke's not going to be on the schedule for Miami this year, but apparently, I guess the media and the coaches thought highly enough of the Canes that they were actually picked to finish sixth in the conference, which is pretty noteworthy.
Yeah. Shire gives credit to Lucas for landing the Boozer brothers many a times, and even in the preseason in some conferences he was asked about it. He gives Lucas a lot of credit for all the recruiting success. Jai Lucas gets a lot of that for the last 5 years.
Yeah. Griggs, you had a follow-up point on Miami also?
I was going to make a comment that it's better that I didn't make.
Oh, God.
14 kids. My
well, maybe I'll give you a chance to make a comment on how about Jeff Capel's pit team?
How about it? Let's see.
You don't have to.
Yeah,
He passed.
You want to pass? You can pass.
well, they're looking to rebuild. I guess that's that's the diplomatic way to say it. From a rather underwhelming season, they've got just one starter back, so like any momentum that they may have had, they're having to sort of replace in the portal. Again, it's kind of hard to get a read on this roster with so many new players that haven't played together before. If you're asking me what I think of them, I don't. I don't. They don't strike me as being awful, but there's just nothing. They're just sort of a bland, blah. Okay, 10th, 11th ish in the conference type of team. That's sort of how what I'm expecting of them. Am I missing something?
Yeah. Dorman, is it about the same for Wake Forest also this year?
Yeah, I think it is. I was high on Forbes even just 2 years ago. I thought he had the program really going in the right direction.
Yeah.
He was landing some big recruits. The alumni, everyone was getting back behind it, and then last year we fell off the ledge a little. I think it's another half so-so year. There's teams he's definitely better than a lot of teams in this conference. Could he be in the top 7 or 6 if they make a move and they play together and he gets his system going? Yes, but I'm not buying it, and I think he's short of the tournament. And I think he's in the bottom half of the ACC.
Yeah. Rocco, I got to ask you about a team that won 21 games last year, but lost 3 double-digit scorers out there in the Bay Area. How about the Cardinal? Because I really like Kyle Smith, but and I want to believe in them. I'll put it that way.
Well, I think he's gonna get everything possible out of this group like he does every year. I think one of the underrated guys is the big guy, Aiden Kamen. He got to play more of a off the bench role last year. He'll have a way bigger role this year, but he redshirted a year, has a really good physical, 6'10" body, and he got to practice against arguably, I don't know if he won Player of the Year, but definitely the best numbers in the ACC last year, Maxime Reynaud, every day in practice. I know it made him a lot better. And Chisholm Akpara is a senior now as well. I think those guys, those two in the front court especially, are ready to make a step forward. San Francisco scrimmaged them a week ago. Stanford actually beat them. People are talking about San Francisco contending in the WCC and an at-large bid. That obviously is a big practice statement, but they've also got a really interesting guy in Jeremy Dent Smith who came over from D2. Obviously, very rare for any transfer to get into Stanford, but with JDS coming over, he also came from a high academic situation and had some outstanding numbers at that level. And as we know out here in California, there's a lot of D2 players and programs that can produce. So I think if they can get a lot out of him, plus Donovan Young makes that freshman to sophomore leap. There's some intriguing freshmen. There's just one of those teams as your Georgia Techs, your Syracuse, your Wake Forest, your Pittsburghs start to slide and erode. Stanford's just going to keep rising up because they're going to play hard all 5 months. And I would be shocked if they don't finish in the top 13 or so with an upside of getting into the top 10.
Top 10. Well, they're kind of my dark horse. Maybe an extreme dark horse, but
Yeah.
but
They're
that
limited athletically.
maybe if things just bounce the right way, they find themselves near that bubble picture at the end of the day, near it.
Yep.
I'm not calling them a
Rocco made an
tournament team.
interesting point. It's just such a hard uh, task, I guess, at Stanford because to build consistent success in a transfer heavy era, because as an institution, it is hard to transfer in there. They don't necessarily like if you're going from one land grant institution to another public institution to another, it's easy to get your credits to transfer. It's easy to find some degree program where you can get there after 2 or 3 years and become eligible. Not there.
Correct. Correct. I'm excited to see this team though, because I do think there's a lot of underrated guys, especially
Yeah.
Dent Smith, like I talked about. He could be a lot of fun to watch. There's been some poor man Jalen Brunson comparisons to him, so and we kind of know what we're getting with these other guys getting older as well.
We got a few more teams left here. Titel, anything you're looking for from Tech this season?
I like that Isaiah Pasha transferred in from Delaware. I got to see him in the CAA tournament. He was fantastic. He was the rookie of the year in the Coastal last year. Besides that, I am not looking for much out of Tech.
No, nothing out of
Oh,
Tech.
what about
You got
Neo?
something?
What about Neo the Greek? He's the big the hype story from Greece. Neo Avdalis. He obviously has to be an all-world player like he's being hyped up as. But if he's what all the hype says he is, I think the Hokies are potentially the most interesting team in the league.
He's named Crown MVP. Rocco, I will give you all the credit.
Wait,
ACC, the ACC is I don't think allowed to play in the Crown, but we'll get him in the NIT for you.
NIT MVP. There you go. They could play Chattanooga in the NIT championship game.
I'll take it. I'll sign up for that.
Dorman, Cal, anything for Mark Madsen's team?
I like the hire a few years back. We haven't seen much. I'm going to say part of the bottom feeders of the ACC. Putting pieces together, I just don't see enough talent. I don't see enough scoring out of the Bears for them to be a factor in the ACC this year. And again, tough travel.
They're not a factor. Griggs, is Florida State a factor?
No, I don't think so. They did play reasonably well in an exhibition game against Alabama, but it was just that, an exhibition game. We might see them be not as bad as they've been, but a factor, if you define factor as a team that's making a run at the bubble, I don't see it.
We got one team left. Salika, you want to take them? And I think it's an easy guess who they are.
Yeah, if you're looking for a couple impact transfers, I don't think Chase Forte and Bowden Kapke are going to be your answers. I mean, I've seen Kapke play at Butler a couple times, but Boston College, they'll be lucky to get out of the basement.
Yeah, I mean, you're in what is still allegedly a power conference here, and Griggs, I just don't think the team is. I don't think the program wants to commit to winning in any sport.
It doesn't feel that way. And I love Earl Grant. I think he's a good coach. He's proven that he's a good coach. And I thought before we got into sort of as deep into the woods of NIL and transfer portal and transfer heavy, I thought that he would be able to get BC going, but they're just not. It's Seton Hall. They've just chosen not to compete.
I think they're slightly above Seton Hall, but that's not saying much. But
Yeah.
Well, they're committed to Hockey East. They're just not committed to the ACC.
I guess on that note, that is the all 18 teams in this conference. So what I want to do is run through each of you as we do with each of these shows. Ask you, number one, who's going to win the league regular season title? Number two, how many bids does the league get? Number three, any other final thoughts you might have on the conference? Rocco, let me start off with you on this one.
Yeah, so I actually, did a breakdown for the teams that I think have a shot at a one seed. Certainly Duke is in that category. And I just think the way that their non-conference and the regular season unbalanced schedule that Stalika did a beautiful job breaking down for us. I only come up with, on a sliding scale with 5.5 total losses for the Blue Devils. And I think there's enough good wins in this year's ACC plus their loaded non-conference schedule that you guys talked about to get them the number one overall seed in this year's tournament. So that's what they'll be forecasted. I think Louisville has so much potency in the way that the committee decides seeds now is almost purely on predictive and performance metrics. That's going to help them in seeding. I think they'll get a 3 seed. I have NC State, as we talked about, as a 5 seed. And then Virginia, maybe a little bit of a surprise, is my 4th team out of the ACC, my highest of the 8 seeds, and then North Carolina right there as a 9. So those two in 8-9 games. Then my last team in the field, again, this is trusting a lot of the front court and the pedigree of Brad Brownell, but I've got Clemson as the very last team in the field to get the ACC a 6th bid. But I also think SMU and Miami are extremely dangerous as teams that could replace them or even move up higher in the league. I'm really only sold on the top 2. I think even from NC State, Virginia, North Carolina on down, there's a lot of room for interchange, for mixing and matching and teams to move up. I also think the overall depth, as we just went through, is mostly really, really good. Like there's been years in the past whether it was Miami falling apart last year, Florida State falling apart last year, Cal and Stanford trying to figure it out. Maybe that's still the case. But I think there's a really good chance for the real meat of the league, which are teams 7 through, let's just say 16, to all be able to move up to the top 75. If they can do all that and get enough teams in the top 50, you might see up to 7 bids from the league.
Wow. That'd be a great year for the ACC.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny to say, but
Right.
Dorman.
I'm going with Duke to win the regular season title in the ACC. I'm going with 5 bids. I think Jai Lucas finds a way, figures a way. I think he's going to be really good long term for Miami. I think Miami had the great hire there. I think Miami's future is very bright. And my little point on the ACC, I think Louisville is absolutely awesome this year. I think their ceiling is big time. I think Louisville is an outside shot for a Final Four team. I think they're that good. I like Pat Kelsey that much. I think he's a great motivator. I think he relates to these kids. I think the kids listen to him. I think the kids like him, and I think they like each other. So I love the culture at Louisville. I expect a big year for Louisville and the Cardinals.
I think you're dead on that point. I'll get to my points, picks in the middle here. Let me go Sleeka first.
I'm probably going to say there's going to be 5 teams that end up getting in for the ACC. I think the 4 teams that are probably going to be slam dunks are going to be Duke, Louisville, North Carolina, and NC State. Duke probably gets a slight edge over Louisville just because I think there's a better chance they stay healthy throughout the year. But if we're looking for that 5th wild card, could be SMU, could be Miami. Now, my final thought is going to be you look at the future of the ACC as a whole, they still got about another 10 years to go before they finally end their current grant of rights. It's supposed to end at 2036. But you look at some of their revenue distribution models right now, it's going to start getting weighted a little more heavy as to who, A, is drawing in ratings, especially in football and basketball for teams like Duke in basketball, Florida State and Clemson, and well, maybe not Florida State. Not that you're losing 12 straight games in the ACC in football. I mean, we thought Florida State in basketball was bad. It's nothing compared to the gridiron now. But you look at a team like SMU, they're foregoing certain media revenue early on, but they're making up for it with their trip to the college football playoff last year. So give the Mustangs credit, and they could end up making the NCAA tournament in the hardwood as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at this as a 5 bid conference. I've got Duke winning it, but I think it will be very close. It might be it might be a tie with Louisville, quite honestly. I just think that Louisville's that good, and I think that Duke Louisville when they play each other, that's going to be a ton of fun. But I've got Carolina, NC State, and one of Notre Dame, SMU, Virginia. I'm leading Virginia as that 5th team for me. Tytel, what about you?
I'm also looking forward to the Duke Louisville matchups. It looks like they actually play twice in a 3-week span in January, so it's nice that you get it all together all at once. I got Duke winning it, but as Dorman said, Louisville is right there, arguably 1 and 1A. They were great last year with so many injuries. If they're healthy this year, they're going to have so much depth that I think they can hang with them. In addition to those 2, I have Clemson and NC State, as Talika said, making the tournament. I think the Tar Heels get in this year, probably as the 68th team. We'll see. But I'll set it at 5.5 and take the under. I think SMU and Wake are kind of in coin flip territory. As far as a fun fact, Rocco heaped all the deserved praise on Cameron Boozer. Just to reiterate, 33 points, 4 of 7 behind the arc, and 12 boards in the win over UCF. 24 points and 23 boards in the win at Tennessee the other day. The kid seems like the kid is putting up video game numbers, and it is just an exhibition, but they're against major conference opponents. I am a huge fan. It seems like he brings the ball up and runs the point. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He seems like the real deal, and so I think he might put the whole team on his shoulders and just kind of go to the Final Four. He's that good.
I would make the point, Tytel. Those stats are not going to be in the books at all, though, that he put up. I need
They're in my book, Chad.
I need a little Allen Iverson talking about practice right here is what we need. But Greg, you want to finish off the show?
I'm with you guys, are the ones that are saying I only see 5 getting in. I agree with Rocco that the conference is better overall. 5 is still better than what it was last year, I think, or is it? But I like Duke. All the points that were made about Duke were are valid. They went to Tennessee and won, and I know it was practice, but it was still to go on the road and get a win like that, and it's an indication that they are really good. I'm still going with Louisville ahead of them with the caveat, and I might regret this, if they can stay healthy. They were not only did they do what they did last year, they did what they did while being plagued with injuries. And I think that a lot of people forget that if they can keep everybody healthy and all their key players healthy, I think they can be as good or better than Duke. I really like this NC State team. I mean, the roster is ridiculous, and I got North Carolina and Virginia in there as well.
Yeah, it was 4 teams out of the ACC last year with Carolina just
Yeah.
barely making in the field. So
Yeah, and Carolina, I think they get in because I think the committee just goes unprecedented and expands the field to 70 to ensure Carolina gets in.
On that note, I do want to thank everybody for joining us. This has been our ACC preview show. We'll be back in a night or two here with a few more conferences. But on behalf of John Titel, John Stalika, Rocco Miller, check him out at bracketeer.org and follow him on X and Blue Sky and every other service you have out there. David Dorman and David Griggs as well. I'm Chad Sherwood. Thanks for joining us, and we will be back again talking to you real soon.